Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Rebecca Smith with Complete Performance Coaching and the founder of the Perform Happy community. I'm excited to be here with you guys today. I've been hearing a lot of questions from sport parents whose kids are starting to go back to practice. So, for some, that's great news. For some, that's terrifying. So, I'm not here to judge any of that, but I just wanted to give some tips on how to help your athlete re enter their sport in a confident way. So maybe your kid went back and all of their teammates are in tears and they're just so happy that they're back together and they get to be back where they're home away from home. But then you notice that your kids' tears are not happy tears. They are actually going back in and feeling stuck. And maybe they are not able to do skills that they were doing successfully last season. Maybe they are struggling in ways that you haven't seen them struggle before. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context of why that might be happening, and then what not to say when they're in that situation, and then what you actually can do to help them come out of this more confident. So if your athlete feels like they are the only one who's not just thriving right off the bat, or they're really frustrated because they felt like they conditioned so hard, they did everything they could, they should be doing better, and they're not. And you're worried because you're like, oh gosh, what does this mean? And they're worried because they're wondering, what does this mean? So let me explain why this happens. Sometimes people, they go into skills that are well trained, that they have a lot of experience doing, and all of a sudden they freeze up and they just aren't the same athlete that they once were. And they sometimes can't even get themselves to do and the skills that they should be able to do without a whole lot of extra stuff, like a lot of warm-ups and a lot of, maybe they have to visualize, and then maybe they have to spend a few minutes fixing their hair and wiping their sweat and talking themselves into it. And then finally they can sort of force out like 3 reps and they're like, okay, I did it. But it was a miserable experience. And maybe they do all that and then they still freeze up and can't do the skill. And then they just go down the toilet of negative thinking. So if that sounds familiar, then what's happening is that the brain has gone into survival mode. Now, there are a lot of different threats that would send the brain into survival mode, and I'll go over a couple of them here. One of them is a social threat. So if they feel, especially an athlete around the ages between 11 and 17, but more specifically kind of the adolescent years, if they feel like they're going to be left out, that is devastating. All they want in the world is to feel like they fit in and they belong. So if they feel like there's a risk, my teammates are doing their skills and I'm not doing mine, I'm going to be left behind, or I'm going to be left out. That is almost as devastating as actually falling and hurting yourself when you're 13. So there's that might be happening. Their brain might go, not safe, not safe. There's a threat. But it's not actually a threat of doing the skill itself. It's a threat of what failure would mean. Okay, another threat that the brain could be reacting to is an emotional threat. And that would come from feeling like, if I can't pull this together, I'm going to be so disappointed that I might die. I might die of the feeling of failure, or I might feel so disappointed that I just can't handle it. So if they don't have the right emotional coping skills to deal with those failures, those setbacks, those disappointments, then their brain is actually going to compute that there's a threat. There's a safety threat here, which is, if I fail, I'll be disappointed and it will be so devastating that I won't be able to handle it. And when we say it out loud, we're like, wow, that seems kind of crazy, but that's the reality within an athlete, especially in these, hormone fueled adolescent years where there's so much on the line about their future and their social life and their sport career and who am I and who likes me. It's amazing how much is wrapped up into one stupid back handspring on the beam. So then there's the old classic threat of physical safety. So of course, the brain is going to go, oh, this is not safe. If you get up and start walking across a tightrope strung between 2 high-rise buildings, your brain's going to go, not safe, and it's going to freeze you up and you won't even be able to take a step. That's good, right? If you're walking toward a cliff, walking along, you don't realize it, and then the second you realize I'm about to step off a cliff, you're like, whoa, and you freeze up. That's what's happening in your athlete when they get ready to do a skill and then they freeze up and they can't go. The brain is going, not safe. You're going to hurt yourself. you're going to hurt the body. And the brain's job is to keep the body safe and to keep the body alive. So it does this intentionally. This is good, right? We don't want you to not have this thing in your mind that's preventing you from walking out into traffic or preventing you from touching hot stove. So it's good, but it can get a little amplified when those other threats are in place. And also now we have this new physical threat that we haven't had to deal with, which is the threat of illness, the threat of germs, the threat of spread, the threat of being touched, all of those things that are in this pandemic that have never been an issue. Now add another layer, especially for any kids who are already a little germophobic. Hopefully you don't fall into that category. But if you do, there's going to be another layer of not safe. Just even in the environment where you're seeing coaches with masks on, or you're seeing chairs spaced out 6 feet, or you're having your lineup with it's, 6 feet apart and everything's staggered and the class sizes are small and classes are short. Everything's different. So the brain is also going to be registering that. So those are all the things that you have to consider when looking at the fact that your kid is not as confident as they once were. So all that to say, it's pretty understandable. And I'm sure you know that. Of course, your kid's been out for 2 months. They've been in this weird life with weird school. And then they go back and we're like, everything's normal again, but it's not. So how do you support a kid who's in that situation? Here's what doesn't work. And this might surprise you. Telling her, I say her just because that was the question I got, was from a mom of a female gymnast. What doesn't work is telling her how she should react. Okay. Things like, be patient. It's going to take time. Or don't worry, you'll be okay. Or have fun. So if you're telling her how she should react, that's going to immediately throw up the wall of, you don't understand. Don't tell me what to do. Because, okay, let's face it, even if it was not a pandemic and there was no back walkover on the beam or whatever, a 13-year-old's going to be like, don't tell me what to do. So telling them to have fun is actually not productive. Telling them not to worry. Well, okay, that's nice, but I'm worrying, mom. So like, what? I'm just going to not worry. Okay, cool. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then be patient. I'm a grown-up and I have trouble with patience. So telling an adolescent to be patient is like, it's like talking to a brick wall. So those are things that, although yes, have fun, be patient, don't worry, that is the right answer. It's not the right delivery. So here's what does work. Number one, it's all about the relationship. When in a sport, parent, and athlete relationship, there has to be massive amounts of trust. They have to know that you're not going to tell them what to do. You're not going to try to convince them or bribe them or threaten them or anything. That you have no agenda, which can be very hard when you're spending a mortgage payment on a sport. But they need to know that they can trust you completely to support them no matter what. So the best thing you can do off the bat is to just listen. No advice, no feedback, no here's what you need to do, or it's okay, or it's fine, don't worry. Just listen. So if she is saying, I can't believe I didn't do this, I used to compete this, I'm so messed up, why are my friends doing it? Then what you are going to say back is just what she's saying to you. You just let her know that you're listening. And I actually go into this in detail in the Peak Performance Parenting course in the Perform Happy community. But a little snippet of it is that we actually use the same words that they use. So if she says, I can't believe everybody else can do it and I can't, then you'd say something like, oh, how frustrating to feel like everybody else can do it, but you can't. When she hears those words, she might go, well, not everybody, because then there was like Peyton over there who also was a little bit freaked out. So if she's saying like everybody this, or I always this, and you say you feel like you always get that, she might then use her 13-year-old powers of pushing against and go, well, not everybody, not always. So just using her words back to her can give her a little bit of perspective and allow her to hear what's coming out of her mouth. And you're not judging it. That's the thing. You can't be like, no sarcasm allowed in this type of conversation. It's going to just be total compassion, empathy. It sounds like what you're saying is this. It sounds like what you're feeling is this. And you're literally using exactly their words. Now, this might sound weird to you, but all they're going to hear is my mom is listening for once and not just telling me what I need to do to fix it. Then empathize. Even if it is so crystal clear to you what she needs to do, that's not what she needs in this moment. All she needs is for you to go, "Oh, honey, that has got to be so hard. I'm so sorry you're going through that. What a bummer." Just just like allow her to feel heard and empathize with her. Like, "Oh, buddy, that is so rough. I'm so sorry." And then this is a little catchphrase that me and a bunch of the athletes in Perform Happy have come up with. It's don't make it a thing. Just don't make it a thing. So that's what happens is that athletes will have a bad day and then they're like, oh no, I lost my skill. This is terrible. They make it a thing versus they have a bad day where they're not throwing a skill and they're like, whatever, it's fine. It's a weird Wednesday. Let's get back to it tomorrow. They don't make it a thing. And this is what I've seen the athletes who are going back effortlessly, seamlessly, or even better than they left are the ones who didn't make it a thing. They were like, okay, 8 weeks of coronavirus summer vacation where I'm going to strengthen my mind. I'm going to strengthen my body. I'm going to get some more sleep. This is awesome. And then they go back and they're like, yeah, let's get to it. Let's see where we are. Let's ease back in. They never made it a thing. And they know that when a day like that inevitable day happens, it's not a thing. It doesn't mean the mental block has returned. Like that's so dramatic. It just means, oof, confidence is down today. What can I do? And then they have a whole bag of tools that they can go to and be like, okay, I'm going to do this. So don't make it a thing, mom. Just don't. It's not worth it. Then here's what I definitely want you guys to be able to do. This is what they need in order to not have fragile confidence. Now, fragile confidence I see all the time where like they're doing great. And then one little thing happens and boom, can't tumble. Or like, boom, can't jump. Boom, whatever your sport is, they'll have like this moment where something rattles their confidence and then they've lost their skill. That only happens when you are missing one of these 3 key ingredients that bolster your confidence no matter what. So you can't not make it a thing if you are missing one of these. And these 3 things, these trifecta of lasting, durable confidence is self-worth, self-belief, and self-trust. Okay, self-worth, that is the knowing I have value, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of respect, no matter if I have a good day or a bad day, if I'm likable or not likable, even if I am a whiny, stinking brat, I still deserve love. Even if I fall 100 times in one beam routine, I deserve love, I deserve respect, and I'm okay. They have to have that foundation because so many athletes, especially ones that I talk to, they truly believe I'm okay if I perform well. I'm okay if I'm a good girl. I'm okay if my coach likes me. I'm okay if my mom is proud of me. Okay. And even you sport parents can probably go like, ew, I know what that feels like for me. I'm like, ooh, yep. I have had plenty of my life where I didn't value myself inherently. I only valued my output, my outcome, my whatever I was showing the world. That's what gave me value. They have to know that they have value no matter what. They also have to believe in themselves. That is that deep knowing I can do hard things. So when they go into pandemic and they're like, okay, I can do hard things. I had a mental block. I came back from an injury. I dealt with a pandemic. What do you got, life? I can do it. That's that deep self-belief. That's like, oh, a bad day. Oh, a bad week, a bad year. I was talking to Olympian Jonathan Horton the other day, and he's like, I had 2 bad years and I had 17 bad competitions and I had a couple of terrible levels. But that guy, he believed in himself and he believed in his goal so much that he was like, all right, I can do hard things. Let's go try again. And then the last one is self-trust. And this is usually where my athletes arrive sort of near the end of their mental training adventure, where they not only have that bag of skills that they can pull from to boost their confidence when they need it, they not only know that they have value no matter what, but they know when it's time to let go and just perform. They know when they've put in the numbers, they've put in the time, their body is ready, their muscle memory is ready. They no longer have to think. They definitely don't have to overthink. They don't have to be perfect. And they can just release all of the expectations from themselves and others and just fly. That is self-trust. When you can trust yourself above all else and you know exactly what you're ready to do. And when you feel ready, you go. So parents, I want to ask you, Do you see your athlete's self-worth? Do you see their worth? Do you know how valuable that little girl or that boy is? I'm assuming that the answer is yes. Okay, do you believe in her? Do you believe in him? Of course, right? Can you imagine your athlete going for skills confidently, consistently, almost effortlessly? Have you seen it before? Can you see it again? Okay, and then the final question, will you love your athlete, your child, no matter what the outcome? Will you love them to the moon and back, regardless of if they compete level 5 or if they compete level 6? Will you love them if they quit their sport? The answer is yes. So that's what you model. That's what I want them to have. I want them to see their worth. I want them to believe in themselves. I want them to imagine the future being so beautiful and bright. And I want them to love themselves no matter what. So you model it. You see their value. You reflect it back to them. Girl, you are working your butt off. I'm proud of you. But you know what? If you need to have a lazy day and you need to just cry it out, I'm proud of you too. And then you just keep believing. I believe in you. I believe in you. I see this working out. I see this. You don't make it a thing. They won't make it a thing. So that's really all you can do. You can listen, you can empathize, you can model for them those deep confidence boosters that they really need in order to not just be successful in their sport, but to be successful in their life. So don't try to force it. Don't try to fix it. I know I have 2 little girls and I want to just be like, do this, do that. Great. Okay, moving on. But it's not how it works. So let her feel heard. Let her know you love her no matter what. Give her all the hugs in the world since she can't hug her coaches and she can't hug her teammates. She should get extra double, triple, quadruple family hugs. And just know we are all going to get through this together. So if you have any questions, you need support, reach out. You can find me, Rebecca, at performhappy.com. We are not currently taking members into the Perform Happy community, but we have a waiting list going. So if you feel like, yes, this is what my athlete needs, get on the waiting list at performhappy.com and you'll be the first to know. All right, we'll see you soon.